Gonna get off the old spots where all those countries used to hang out.
By 1982, hardcore had arrived in the Twin Cities. Dozens of bands are forming, and soon there are multiple options for places to play.
It seemed like there was always a show. I mean, always a show somewhere, every weekend.
The fact that there were more than one place to play in town, the size of Minneapolis, was good because it gave a little bit of competition.
Duffy's tried to do hardcore shows, didn't always go well for them.
Duffy's was kind of hit or miss. One night it would be like volleyball night, you know, and then it would be like the circle jerks. 7th Street entry, right here.
7th Street entry felt like a doghouse. First Avenue was always the money that made the entry possible.
First Avenue was whatever. We got in there when we could get in there, and it was nice, but it wasn't like our clubhouse like Goofy's was.
Up here is where Goofy's upper deck used to be.
The music scene definitely needed a place like Goofy's. It's like the hardcore acts were better suited to the upper deck.
Hey, you know what? I shower regularly, so no one has to shower me for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Goofy's upper deck was downtown Minneapolis, right? A couple blocks from First Avenue.
At that point in time, that end of downtown was so deserted.
Part of downtown that, you know, if you're a kid from the suburbs, it was a little scary, you know, just a little bit, just, you know, taking the bus downtown and walking down there.
Next door was a place called Market Barbecue. And upstairs, they had this big space, and it wasn't being used.
It was just a space that someone just handed you and said, make something awesome. You guys have to supply the PA, we'll put a bartender in the space.
It was a perfect home for punk rock. It didn't need to be anything other than a place that we could hear our music and not get hassled by cops.
It was a paradise for an 18-year-old in a punk band. It was just great. It was the seediest, you know, all the places that your mom told you not to go were just right in that sort of realm.
It was a safe spot for everybody, right? Everybody felt comfortable. It was like, all right, let your hardcore freak flag fly and let's go.
This is amazing. We can do whatever we want. And whatever we wanted to do was put on the best punk rock shows we could do every night of the week.
Goofy's Upper Deck was pretty amazing, and that's Fred Gartner. Fred Gartner needs to be a big part of this because that guy, he was from like a contingent of bouncers from Duffy's, where a lot of shows were at, where you could get your ass kicked by those bouncers pretty fast, and he was the good cop versus the bad cop, right?
Wonderful guy, big fucking dude, looked like the, you know, Coca-Cola machine.
Fred Gartner came into the bar and sold himself to Dan.
Dan Kotlow was the owner of Goofy's.
It kind of came as a surprise to all of us that he was able to talk Dan into the music upstairs, right? It was a strip joint at the time, you know, and how's that gonna mix, right?
From the beginning, there were tensions between Goofy's and the upper deck.
I was a bartender there. The Goofy's Upper Deck. You know, Hüsker Dü playing 90 miles an hour. So the guy that owned the place, Dan Kotlow, I went, what the fuck is this shit? What is this crap?
All along, they've never really fully liked what we were doing. It's been a slow process to educate the people downstairs of what the hell music is all about and what's going on. The first time that people started thrashing and slam dancing, the bouncers equated with violence, were ready to move in on the people. I had to grab their guys and say, look, no.
I think he really just saw the enthusiasm that we all had for these bands and you know, really wanted us to be able to enjoy the music. And he was a big supporter, and I think he looked the other way on a lot of that stuff because he knew it was important and it was important to us. He just let a lot of us underage kids in, you know.
It was crazy back then. You were younger, you could get away with murder, you could get into a bar. It was a free-for-all. It was a fun free-for-all.
I was like hanging out, you know, just a young kid hanging out, and Fred's like, here, take tickets. So I would take tickets, and I would, matter of fact, I was checking IDs, 17 years old, checking IDs.
Well, I was a doorman there for a long time when I was like 16 years old.
I love there's a lot of underage people checking IDs. That was good.
So we eventually eliminated the bouncers, the bartenders, and just about everyone there that was connected with Goofies.
And Fred, he approached me and said, yes, I understand that you have a lot of connections in the punk rock scene, and I was wondering if you'd be at all interested in helping me bring some bands through here. There was this woman that I was dealing with. Her specialty was like British punk rock. She said that she might be bringing Discharge over. I just blurted out. It's like, oh, we got to have that here.
And it was the first American tour, and it was like, fuck, Discharge. And you had their records, and every song's about nuclear war, and every song sounds like a fucking nuclear war.
I remember Bob telling me specifically, he says, if you get that show, Hüsker Dü's on that bill, and we go on right before them, we are going to destroy those guys.
For some reason, I became competitive. Felt like there's people setting up in camps, like Pete Davis set up in the Hüsker Dü camp.
As good as Discharge was that night, and they were good, but they got their asses handed to them.
So Hüsker Dü opens, and they tried too hard. They tried to blow them away, and they didn't. Discharge is better.
There were definitely some pretty epic hardcore shows that went down up at Goofy's.
Articles of Faith, Youth Brigade, Social Distortion.
To see the names on there was ridiculous. Suicidal Tendencies, Big Boys.
Saw Meat Puppets there first time they played here.
Jodie Foster's Army.
So many bands played, it was amazing.
Okay, when we made our mark was when Black Flag came in from California.
Gimme, gimme, gimme! I need some more! Gimme, gimme, gimme! Don't ask what for! 1, 2, 3, 4! Stand here like a loaded gun!
It was so crowded, like you couldn't even move really, and sea of just humans, and everybody was like touching me. There's no space, the whole place. And so that was the only show I remember being on that back wall. There was a little ledge, and standing on that ledge to just watch it. It was so intense. It was so good.
Minutemen opening before them. I didn't realize how fucking great they were going to be live, and they were phenomenal live. And Deep Music jumping up and down.
It put us on the map, as far as the upper deck being a viable competition to the entry.
We were the house band for a short while. Fred, I don't think we could play at any other place in Minneapolis at that time, and for some reason, Fred got a hold of us. He liked us. He liked me, which was kind of odd for back then. I was kind of abrasive, I think.
Willful Neglect were really good. They could rock. They could play really well. Probably scarier than any of the other local hardcore bands.
They're not a bunch of drug-crazed, violent, idiots. They're regular people just having a good time. We just don't want to fit in with the fashion crowd or anything like that. This is more real. This is more street level. More down to the roots of regular people.
The guys in Willful Neglect all were very, very working class. I grew up with these guys. They're the sons of plumbers. Okay, they were like driving trucks.
They showed up at the upper deck, and it was like, who is this? Who is this? And everybody was like, who are they? Because they came in not as like one guy or two guys, they came as this huge group. It almost felt like a gang.
The majority of the people that followed Willful Neglect around didn't even like punk rock. They just liked to party and caused chaos. And they knew if Willful Neglect was there, it was going to go off.
They were really into this. We're East St. Paul. East St. Paul. And I'm like, I don't know, what's East St. Paul?
East Side Slam Club. I remember there was a fight with Social Distortion, one of the St. Paul punks.
We were out there slam dancing, and My friend Mike says, "That dude just kicked you in the head," referring to Mike Ness. I didn't feel it, but that's all he had to say. So I turned around and I flipped off Mike Ness. Next thing I know, his guitar's off and he jumps right on me off of the stage. And we're battling it out on the floor.
They wanted to slam dance and beat ass, and they wanted to be violent.
And they kind of got me off the dance floor. You know, they would hurt you. And it's like, don't you understand? We're just trying to have fun.
It was kind of exciting too to have that going on, to have, you know, this rival set of people over in St. Paul who, you know, they did their punk rock a little differently than we did somehow.
Willful Neglect were invited to play on Kitten, a compilation featuring bands that played the upper deck. It was organized by Bob Mould and Reflex Records.
We had a bunch of bands. It was 2 nights at the upper deck. Everybody came and played for free.
Recorded it straight to 2-track, live to 2-track, and had each band play about 20 minutes each.
That ended up becoming a Kitten compilation, which became a tape, which is now on CD.
There were a lot of great bands, you know. I mean, God, everybody played on it. It was like everybody in your neighborhood was, you know, on that record, and that was pretty fun, you know. You know, actually, I love Bob Mould for that kind of shit. I mean, he really did, like, build a world, you know.
A lot of people said we were like the house band of the upper deck. We did a 10-song, 15-minute set, and everybody was like, "You guys do 10 songs in 15 minutes?" That was the hardcore scene, you know, and that was hardcore music.
Final Conflict was the best hardcore band, and you know, and believe me, I didn't like that at all. I was very jealous because they were the best. They had like that buzzsaw guitar. They had 2 brothers, you know, like they were more cohesive.
They were tough fucking kids. You know, they were everything that we wanted to be, I think.
We saw Hüsker Dü, and we saw the Replacements, and they had their thing. And Final Conflict felt more like, all right, these are street kids. They're angry, and they don't know what they're fucking angry about. Yeah, I don't really know if they know what they're talking about. They're loose cannon, and then to me, that was appealing. To me, that was like, they're making their noise, and they're gonna be loud, they're gonna be heard. That was dangerous, and that was good, and that I liked.
We closed the upper deck. My band, Final Conflict, closed the upper deck, and that was really, really sad.
A place like that is doomed to eventually fail. You just have to have fun with it because you know it's going to go down.
Dan Kotlow grew tired of the punks above his bar and ended his agreement with Fred Gartner.
All we had was punk rock after a while, and I know Dan wanted more of a mainstream venue coming up there. And then people were hanging downstairs, and it made a few people uncomfortable. The mix of people just never worked out. Blue collar and punk rockers, it just never matched.
If you just tuned in, we're talking about the end of the upper deck and some events that happened.
Most memorable thing is the last week of shows before they shut it down.
Second night was a thrash bash. The headline band was Final Conflict. And during that time, through the evening, a few things got trashed. The bathroom got trashed. Someone knocked out one of the commodes. Somebody threw a chair through a window.
Fell out the second story window, went through the awning. It was market barbecue where people were sitting outside, I think, eating food.
So, you know, it's like that nihilistic attitude of like, well, screw it all. Let's just like really trash the place.
When the market barbecue people who owned the lease on the building found out about it, they came up. And then shortly after that, orders came down to close the club up. And they brought a staff from downstairs, and they wouldn't listen to too much reason. They were there to shut it down and get everybody out, like within a few minutes, and were prepared to use a lot of force.
It was so negative and crazy that night.
I mean, we were all mad because this is our place, man. This is our thing, and they were closing it.
And I tried to appeal them to let Final Conflict on. As they hadn't played yet, the audience was there to see Final Conflict.
We play our first song, and then Fred comes over and says to our lead singer, Noel Morgan, you guys just do one more song, get off. Somebody threw a chair out the window, they're closing it down.
Fred told me with about 3
big bouncers behind them with wine bottles, I think, and pool cue sticks, that we had one song left.
The song ends and we go right into the next song. I'm sitting there playing, and the bouncer's sitting there go, "You guys got to cut." And we kept playing. So he pulls the plug, and I'm still playing. They look at me like, "Stop."
When they did that, sort of a minor riot ensued.
A smoke bomb was thrown. People were tipping over chairs and tables. They were really pissed off at the sponsor.
You realize they didn't think it was funny. Like, we were like, ha ha ha, we're being crazy and wild. And they're like, we're gonna kill all of you.
I got sucker punched by one of the managers, who was a high school friend of mine. That was bad. Bad, bad, bad.
I can't breathe in the smoke. I run out. We get outside.
What the fuck just happened? And then we turn around, open the door to the street, and the whole street is closed off by cops.
The cops come and said, "This is unlawful assembly. You got to leave."
In the midst of it all, a friend of mine, Tim Daly, said something to the cop and made him mad, and another cop jumped on him and proceeded to slam his head against the cement by his hair and said, "Slam dance to this."
And then at the end of it, it was like when it calmed down and everybody was trying to get in their cars, it was kind of one of those, what the fuck just happened? And people started laughing because it was so ridiculous.
It shut it down. It was the end for the upper deck.
Now it's a parking ramp.
That club was cool. We had a lot of fun there, and it was too bad, but you always felt like something else would pop up. And I don't think anything really replaced it.
Whenever a big act came in, we always got to open for them. One of the greatest things, when we get a call, it's Fred Gartner, and said, "You guys want to open for the Bad Brains?" Now the Bad Brains had played First Avenue the night before, and I guess they wanted to do a no ID show. I remember they didn't have any equipment. Earl used my kit, but yeah, it was a great small show to see the Bad Brains.